$62 billion. That is the price tag for the greatest strategic blunder in modern history. Loans, deep-water ports, high-speed rails, and power plants all built with Chinese steel and Pakistani debt. And here's the part that should keep you awake at night. This isn't a unique failure. It is the exact same terminal sequence that has liquidated every over-leveraged empire for 3 centuries. 4 stages. Predictable as the tide, inevitable as gravity. March 14, 2026. The port of Gwadar, China, as crown jewel in the Indian Ocean, falls under the temporary administration of a US-backed maritime coalition. This isn't a declaration of war, it's a foreclosure. China just learned what the Dutch East India Company learned in 1799, what the British learned in Suez, what every rising power discovers when they try to buy a geography they cannot militarily defend. Right now, Pakistan is drowning in $126 billion of external debt. $30 billion of that is owed directly to Beijing, but the debt is a rounding error. The real cost is the Malacca dilemma. China, this desperate attempt to bypass the US Navy by building a backdoor through the Himalayas. They've spent 20 years and $60 billion building a shortcut to nowhere. And today, they are watching as American-aligned banks and local insurgents dismantle the entire dream piece by piece. You want to know the worst part? Beijing saw this coming. They walked into it with eyes wide open, convinced their system was immune to history. It never is. Let me show you exactly how empires lose everything. The 4-stage pattern that is currently incinerating the Belt and Road, and why you need to recognize these stages before the next domino from Egypt to Laos topples over. Stage 1. The creditor's delusion. A rising power has too much cash and too little security. They spot a strategic partner, a nation rich in geography but poor in governance. They don't lend for profit, they lend for checkmate. They build ports, they think they'll own forever. They think they're buying a future. In reality, they are just paying the debtor's light bill to keep the collapse at bay for 1 more year. China looked at the Arabian Sea and saw a bypass for the US Navy. They saw everything except the fact that you cannot build a 21st century economy on 19th century stability. Stage 2. The expansion trap. The first billion doesn't work, so you send 10. The bridge to nowhere is half finished, so you fund the road to reach it. You can't stop, because stopping means admitting the strategic partnership was actually a donation. This is where the trap closes. The creditor becomes the debtor's hostage. Pakistan keeps failing, so China keeps lending not to build, but to cover the interest on the previous loans. It's a geopolitical Ponzi scheme, and by 2024, the point of no return was crossed. Stage 3. The breaking point. Something always snaps. A currency crater, a global interest rate spike, or a tactical intervention. The debtor doesn't just default, they evaporate. They can't pay in cash, so they offer assets. But the assets are worthless without the creditor's constant funding. China is currently being paid back in full as gold electricity credits from plants that do UNT fuel, and port rights for docks that have no ships. They are marking these as performing loans on the books in Beijing, but the value is 0. This is the moment you realize you've lost, but your pride won't let you say it out loud. Stage 4. The inevitable theft. This is the end game. The chaos becomes too much. A new government steps in, or a regional hegemon moves the pieces. The old deals are declared predatory and illegal. The infrastructure the creditor paid for is nationalized or handed to a new manager. In 2026, when the Gwadar contracts are torn up and American-backed firms take over the terminals, China will file strongly worded protests. They will talk about international law. They will demand their $60 billion back. And the world will do exactly what it did to the British in 1825 and the French in 1890. It will ignore them. And the pattern is absolute. The assets aren't destroyed. They are transferred. From the naive to the informed. From the rising power to the reigning hegemon. Now, look at the map. This isn't just a Pakistan story. This is a Kenya story. An Ecuador story. A Sri Lanka story. The dominoes are already in stage 3. The strategic partnership narrative is a mask for a $1 trillion write-down. If you are an investor, you need to stop looking at growth and start looking at mathematics. The write-downs are coming. The fire sales are starting. When the world realizes that China's global footprint is actually a $300 billion hole in their balance sheet, the repricing of everything will be violent. The money doesn't disappear. It moves. It moves to the companies ready to fix the infrastructure. It moves to the hedge funds shorting the policy banks. It moves to those who see stage 4 coming while everyone else is still arguing about stage 1. The pattern is holding. The outcome is certain. The only question is, are you watching the collapse or are you positioned for the transfer? Subscribe, because Pakistan is only the beginning. In the next video, I'm going to show you the specific list of stage 3 countries that are about to trigger the largest distressed asset grab in history. The timeline is accelerating. The window is closing. You cannot fight mathematics. You can only ride the pattern. Watch the next video now.